The year is 330 CE, and Roman Emperor Constantine the Great has just dedicated a new capital city for the Roman Empire called Byzantium. Just a few decades ago, this settlement was an obscure fishing village, but under Constantine's rule, it would become the new heart of the Roman Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire. Like many ambitious rulers, he dreamed of reviving the glories of Rome and reuniting the old empire. So he started a series of military campaigns against the Ostrogoths in Italy, the Vandals in North Africa, and the Visigoths in Spain. In the mid-600s, Arab Muslims took Syria, Egypt, and the Holy Land. Slavs and Bulgars pushed in from the north and east, while the Persians and later the Seljuk Turks attacked the eastern. These constant threats forced the Byzantines to focus on defense and rely on their impressive network of fortifications. Enrico convinced the Crusaders that he could help them capture the city and loot its riches. He assembled a huge army and surrounded the city with even bigger cannons like Big Bertha, which shot cannonballs weighing nearly a ton. Day and night, the Ottomans bombarded the city for 53 days. The Byzantines desperately tried to repel the attacks, but their chances looked increasingly grim. For centuries, Constantinople successfully resisted outside threats, but its problems were mostly rebellious generals, ambitious popes, rival bishop, corrupt emperors, and devastating earthquakes shook the foundations of the empire. But its greatest danger came from the Crusaders, European Christians who attacked and sacked Constantinople in 1204. Although the empire was eventually restored, it was greatly weakened by internal strife and external attacks. The Byzantine Empire fell to the Ottoman Turks in 1453, ending more than 1,000 years of Roman and Byzantine history. As the siege dragged on, food and water supplies ran low inside the city and disease spread among the defenders. Together, they assaulted Constantinople, killing or blinding thousands of citizens. Alexios managed to escape and rally troops from neighboring Bulgaria and the Republic of Venice to drive the Crusaders out of the city. But once the Byzantines retook Constantinople, they found it greatly weakened and diminished. The empire was broken into several pieces, and the Crusaders seized control of much of the Byzantine treasure. Although Alexios' grandson, Constantine, was able to regain Constantinople in 1261, the empire was never the same again. It was surrounded by hostile neighbors and could no longer function as a major power. By the 1400s, the empire had shrunk to just the city of Constantinople, but they also used another, even more mysterious weapon, Greek fire. This incendiary liquid could be shot from catapults, rockets, or special naval cannons. Sultan Muhammad led his elite troops into Constantinople, burning and looting the city as they went. Byzantine Emperor Constantine XI died fighting in the streets of his capital. With the empire shattered, the remaining lords submitted to the Ottomans, and the city was renamed Istanbul, the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. After more than 1,100 years of history, the Byzantine Empire was over. When it hit its target, it burned fiercely and was almost impossible to extinguish. Byzantine scholars had preserved ancient Roman and Greek texts and ideas which would help spark the European Renaissance. Orthodox Christianity spread from Byzantium to Russia and Eastern Europe, and their art, architecture, and political institutions continued to influence the world today. Historians are still debating exactly what it was made of, but perhaps the most important ingredient was Byzantine ingenuity. Greek fire caused terror among Byzantine enemies for centuries until the formula was lost in the 1200s. Although these wars lasted 4 years and drained the empire's resources, they were highly successful. In 1054, Pope Urban II and Patriarch Michael Cerularius excommunicated each other. Many people blamed the ruling Komnenos dynasty for failing to maintain the city's infrastructure, but soon they would have a much bigger problem to worry about. By the 1100s, European Christians had become obsessed with a dream: the idea of capturing Jerusalem and the Holy Land away from Muslim control. This goal inspired a series of holy wars called the Crusades. And in 1189, a group of French nobles invited Byzantine Emperor Alexios Komnenos to join them on a crusade to capture the city. But when the Crusaders arrived in Constantinople, they found that the emperor had no intention of starting a war. Alexios had already defeated the Seljuk Turks in Asia Minor, and he wanted peace. But the Crusaders didn't want to go home, so they decided to seize Constantinople. This event, known as the Great Schism, created a permanent split between the Catholic Church in the West and the Orthodox Church in the East. Once allies in spreading the Christian faith, The two churches now viewed each other as heretics and potential enemies. As a result, the Byzantine Empire was increasingly isolated in a divided Christian world. Justinian recaptured most of the old Roman provinces and re-established imperial rule over a vast territory, stretching from the Balkans to North Africa and the Middle East. To honor his great victory, Justinian ordered the construction of the magnificent Hagia Sophia, one of the greatest architectural achievements of all time. Its enormous dome seemed to float above worshippers in the Grand Basilica. Built in only 5 years, it would become the seat of the Orthodox Patriarch of Constantinople, and later a mosque and now a museum. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 CE, the Eastern Roman Empire not only survived but thrived. While their western half was disorganized and chaotic, the Byzantines were well-funded, stable and heavily fortified behind the long city walls of Constantinople. Although the official language of the Roman Empire was Latin, in the eastern provinces, Greek was more common, and people followed the Orthodox branch of Christianity. This economic crisis forced many peasants into slavery, leaving a shortage of farmers and a weak population. Justinian also upset many in the empire with his ambitious legal reforms. He ordered the codification of Roman law into a single set of legal principles called the Justinian Code. Although this monumental achievement influenced legal systems throughout Europe for centuries, many judges disliked the code because it forced them to follow written laws instead of relying on tradition and precedent. But despite these differences, the Byzantines considered themselves true Romans and worked hard to maintain Roman traditions and institutions. One of their greatest emperors was Justinian I, who came to power in 527 CE. But the Justinian Wars did not come cheap. In order to pay for his armies, the emperor raised taxes and debased the currency. As the empire grew weaker, outside enemies began to press in from all directions. Perhaps even more devastating than outside invaders was a split within Christianity itself. Then, in 1185, a disaster struck Constantinople. A devastating earthquake caused widespread damage and killed thousands. In 1204, the Crusaders attacked the city. The Byzantines fought back bravely, but their emperor was betrayed by a Venetian merchant named Enrico. For centuries, the Byzantines had successfully resisted the Ottoman Turks, but in 1453, Sultan Mehmed II launched a brutal siege. On May, the Ottoman artillery finally broke through the city walls. Yet despite its fall, the Byzantine legacy lived on. Byzantium began as a minor city, but under Roman Emperor Constantine, it became the new Rome, the imperial capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. But although the empire is long gone, its cultural, religious, and architectural contributions continue to inspire us today. Thank you for watching.